thanks for stopping by. I did post a video already, but this is going to be my first official video. So this channel is created because I want to share the knowledge that I've gained through my experiences in getting into perfumery. I wasn't originally intent on starting a brand when I first got into it. It was more of just a hobby and experimentation, and there was a want or a desire that people had to get my fragrances. Again, I wanted to make something unique, something different, something interesting. So other people apparently wanted it too, and the first week of doing it I made quite a bit, so I figured why not launch a brand. So I want to start doing weekly videos of exploring different materials. Because you could look out, if you look on the box, every box of perfume or cologne or whatever fragrance, you look on the ingredients, it'll always say aqua, it'll say fragrance or parfum, and then it'll go on to list a few things. I can almost bet money it's going to say citronellol, geraniol, coumarin. Those are things that are legally required by the United States government and the European government to be on the boxes. And so I was wondering, well, what is that stuff? So that's kind of the stuff we're going to delve into, and just some of the other things, a lot of the natural materials, a lot of the other synthetic materials. We'll talk a lot about what's synthetic versus natural. And I just think it's really interesting. And I think it's such a secretive world. A lot of people don't realize, of course, if you are a fragrance enthusiast, you will know a little bit more about it, but for the average Joe who goes to Macy's and buys a fragrance, they probably have no clue, which is fine, but that's what I want to do. I want to bridge that gap to educate people and to just teach what I've learned. One of the things I want to start with is I am a brand. I do have a brand. I do make my own fragrances. It's been over a year and things are going pretty well. Have a lot of cool events coming up. I want to spend some time talking about them because, again, I wanted to make something interesting, something unique, something different. I don't want to be the next mass appealing fragrance. I want to be something that's not like anything else. So I figured what better fragrance to start with than my very first one. It's called Cafe Fiesta. I don't know if you can really see that. Cafe Fiesta is, it's a top note of pineapple, bergamot, and green mandarin. It has a heart note of Moroccan rose, and it also has some patchouli, and it has in the base, it has coffee, as for a cafe. It has coffee, it has benzoin, it has vanilla. So again, it's not crazy materials, but it's the combination in which they're in that is something that interested me. As a longtime consumer myself, I wanted to find a good coffee fragrance, but I never was able to discover a fragrance myself that I really enjoyed. So that was one of my key things I wanted to do, is create a nice coffee fragrance. It took a lot of experimenting, a lot of different oils, a lot of different combination of things. Right now I'm settled on something called a CO2 extract. So they actually take CO2 and pressurize it till it's liquid, and then they push that through a material. And that's almost like the purest form that you can get, rather than essential oil. An essential oil is typically steam distilled or distilled in some way, which is it's put into a container, it's boiled, and then it's, and then it's distilled. And then there's absolutes, which are through solvents, so through ethanol, sometimes through hexane, which is really bad for the environment and stuff. The solvents are usually done for stuff like florals, because you can't really distill roses or jasmine to get really good kind of oil. You can, but I mean, it's not that great. So the coffee I have is about as pure as it gets. It smells like just a really strong cup of coffee, which is about as natural as you're gonna get. So the pineapple and coffee were two things I've always kind of wanted as a consumer. I thought it'd be fun. And then, of course, what goes with coffee is vanilla. I figured, it was my first one. I'm not trying to do anything too crazy. Trying to mix coffee with pineapple is hard enough as it is. So the first thing I had to tackle was the pineapple. There is no pineapple absolute. There is no pineapple essential oil. So you have to make pineapple through an accord. So if anybody knows what an accord is, it's a mixture of a bunch of materials to make one singular note. I'll go a little bit more in depth this with some of my other videos, but When you smell one thing, like say you smell a rose, you don't just smell rose. There's a floral aspect, there's a spicy aspect, there's a powdery aspect. There's so many different aspects and characteristics to things that we don't realize. So that's what it is. It's finding those specific materials. So with the pineapple, it's mostly a little caprolate, which smells almost by itself just like a juicy pineapple. But there's so much more to it than that. So maybe in one of my other videos, I'll actually tell you what the actual pineapple accord is. Actually on Instagram, I think it's, his name is Fragrance Drama. I give him some of my accords, and he's an educational, it's an educational Instagram about fragrance. Like he shows other accords, other bases, things like that, which I want to do. So I contribute to that as well. So you should check him out. Yeah, so then pineapple, the green mandarin it was kind of like a weird, like bitter, juicy. So it kind of really complemented the pineapple. And then the bergamot just makes everything smell better. That's why it's in like 90% of all fragrances. With the heart of being the rose, I try to use as much natural as I can. I'm not 100% natural brand. I don't say that I am, but I like to use as many natural materials as possible just because I feel like it's really nice. I like the way they smell. They're really complex. So it's a Moroccan Rose Absolute. It's really dark, orange. It almost smells like cheese. I tell people it smells kind of sour a little bit. It's very odd. I don't know if you've ever smelled it. Maybe, comment if you've ever smelled that before. And then of course, vanilla. I use a Vanilla Absolute. It's, it's pricey, but it's about as good as it gets. And then the benzoin in it really just kind of glues everything together. That's what I like to use resins. It like rounds everything out. The vanilla and the benzoin mix everything together with the coffee because the intensity of the coffee can be very bitter. But that's what I'm looking for. So it's a fruity coffee fragrance, which sounds very odd, and I understand. But once you smell it and you get an idea for it, because as I'm assuming people have smelled fragrances before, you get an idea of, you say, oh, well, I know what neroli smells like, I know what bergamot smells like, and I know what cedarwood smells like. You can smell it and then be like, like I kind of had the idea, but I didn't expect it to smell exactly like that. So this one, it definitely opens with some pineapple. You get the sweetness, you get the juiciness. The bergamot really brings a sense of brightness to it because the pineapple can be rather juicy and voluptuous, I guess you could say. And the mandarin and the bergamot play to balance the bitterness. And then the rose kind of comes in as it dries down. Yeah. So that's this one. So yeah, that's it for right now. Hit like, subscribe, check us out, check out our website, check out our Instagram. We have Patreon. I do a lot of exclusives on Patreon, and I do a lot of kind of behind the scenes things. So if you like to see behind the scenes stuff, go check that out. I'm going to try and post weekly, sometimes maybe more, depending on how many videos I can get out, as I do run this business on my own. So, a lot of my time is spent doing that, but I'm going to get out as much as I can. And if there's something specifically you want to see a video about, maybe a material, maybe an aspect, an accord, anything related to perfumery, let me know, throw it down in the comments, and we will see what we can do. All right. Thank you very much.